Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Samuel, founder of a revolutionary medical sales training and mentorship program called the Medical Sales Career Builder, and I'm also host of the Medical Sales Podcast. In this podcast, I interview top medical sales reps and leading medical sales executives across the entire world. It doesn't matter what medical sales industry, from medical device to pharmaceutical to genetic testing and diagnostic lab, you name it, you will learn how to either break into the industry, be a top 10% performer within your role, or climb the corporate ladder. Welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. And remember, I am a medical sales expert sharing my own opinion about this amazing industry and how it can change your life. Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Samuel. And today we have with us another special guest, and she goes by the name of Sheila Mallon. But this is really a special guest because Sheila Mallon is one of our very own, a medical sales career builder graduate. She went through this program. She wanted to get into medical sales, could not get a position, couldn't even get interviews. And if she got an interview, she wasn't able to get that offer. She joined our program, and we're happy to say that she is a medical sales professional today. But there's something specific about Sheila that I want to bring to everyone's attention. Sheila is in a very specific demographic that oftentimes is prejudiced against, oftentimes does not get into this industry, and oftentimes thinks that there's no opportunity for them. But I am not going to give that away. If you want to find out what that is, you need to listen to this episode. Every week, we are bringing you guests that are doing things differently in the medical sales space. Again, this is one of our very own, one of our graduates. You're going to learn so much in this episode, regardless who you are. And I really do hope you enjoy this interview. Hey, Sheila, how are we doing today?
Hey, Samuel, how are you?
I'm excited because, you're one of our graduates from the Medical Sales Career Builder. It's always exciting to have a graduate on a podcast, so I'm truly excited. But before we get into all the good stuff and your experience in the program, people want to know, what do you do now? So tell us, what is the medical sales, what type of company do you work for, and what is your role?
Okay, well, you know that I have a background in physical therapy. It's not necessary to have the role that I am, that I've recently accepted as territory manager for a wonderful company. We're a durable medical equipment company, that prescription durable medical company, and my main objective is in pain relieving solutions, and my company's making great strides fighting the opiate battle in this country, which has just become
Amazing.
horrible.
Yeah.
And so my personal mission in my territory is to get the word out to the patients by building relationships with their doctors and physical therapists about all of our amazing products, and it's going great. I love it.
Fantastic. So if you just a little bit more, what type of doctor, what type of products are we talking about here? What type of doctors are you seeing?
I visit pain management, physical therapy, orthopedics, primary care, anyone that might be referring patients for opioids, or a doctor that might refer patients for physical therapy, could be neurologist, orthopedist. Also, patients are using our products before surgery, after surgery, that kind of thing.
Got it. And how is the setup? Is it you by yourself and you have a territory? Is it you have a bunch of teammates? You have one teammate? What does it look like?
So I live up near Middletown, New York, and it was uncharted territory. Some of the people in my company are working in territories that were already established. And so it's a really nice opportunity for me to introduce myself and also the company. And it's very exciting because as people learn about the products and they feel comfortable with me, I've been able to make an impact.
Okay. But you don't have any teammates though for your territory. You're the only one.
That's right. I'm the only one. I have neighboring managers that I collaborate with, and we bounce off ideas. I have a wonderful manager that gives me guidance. I feel a lot of support in the company. It's a really great culture. I'm super excited. Super excited. It's just amazing.
That's awesome. Well, give us the day to day. You wake up at what time, you're going where, like walk us through your day all the way to getting off of work.
Well, there's always challenges with the family and managing work and everything, of course. But this job has given me a better work-life balance for sure. But in an ideal day, I'll wake up, be ready to roll 8 o'clock. Sometimes we'll have a meeting once or twice a week with the team. I check my emails, and then usually sometimes I'll have a breakfast. The other morning I had a beautiful breakfast planned for a clinic, and I did an in-service on our products, and scheduled some follow-up with the patients in the future to help with their patients. And in between hosting breakfasts and lunches that I have scheduled, I'll visit other offices. Sometimes I'll have to pick up some documents to support whatever they've faxed in. Sometimes they've forgotten to check off a box on our prescription, or I'll need some clinic notes, and they trust me, and it's really great.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. What time does the day normally end?
Once the business offices have closed, I don't have, there's, once I cannot get into an office, then that doesn't necessarily end my day, because I might want to take some time to document about, like, to keep track of my
Sure,
phone services. I have a budget for the lunches. There's always emails I could send out. I could check the status of my patients that have been referred to make sure that I've done everything I need to do to make sure that they've got the equipment that's ordered for them. So there are lots of responsibilities that I can manage in the off out of 9 to 5 hours that I can fit in when it's convenient for me.
sure. And you don't work weekends.
I don't work weekends, no. Not generally. Like I said, I can always work on those extra office things, putting pamphlets together and things like that, when it's not 9 to 5 hours.
Sure, sure. Well, this is amazing, Sheila. I mean, you're literally living the dream for a well-known company in a durable medical equipment position as a territory manager, your own territory. I mean, come on. But I want to talk about how you got here. So let's take it back to before you met us, before the medical sales career builder. What was going on? What was going on in your life? Give us the little history behind everything.
Okay. So I am a physical therapist for 32 years.
Wow.
I know people often find that hard to believe because, I'm only 29, right? No, I'm joking. I'm 55.
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
55, yeah. So anyway, a couple years ago when COVID hit, I completed my MBA. Wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. During the pandemic, while I was going through the MBA program, I was reassigned as a physical therapist. I was a home care physical therapist to the hospital where I worked. I was doing inpatient work. They needed someone in the hospital in New York during the pandemic to run the iPads around the building,
Sure.
connecting patients with their loved ones. Many of the patients were dying. I had to make relationships with the families. I was performing the remote visitation. Many of the calls were end of life calls. Sometimes I was
Wow.
following these families for weeks.
Yeah.
And during that time, I learned a lot about myself and my relationship building skills. At the same time, I was taking the MBA program.
So okay, hold on. So you were, gosh, 32 years. I did not know you were, you have so much experience in that space. Okay, so talk to us a little bit about the details. So 32 years and then an MBA and then the experience you're describing now, or 30 years and then you got an MBA, and why did you decide to get the MBA? Give us a little bit detail around the logistics here.
Well, I've been a licensed physical therapist for 32 years.
Okay.
So up until May, I was practicing as a physical therapist. I'll continue to maintain my license. I think that's an important asset for me in the field that I'm in.
Absolutely.
But I was longing for a change. Going back, it was quite a while ago. I started studying toward my MBA, and I had to drop for personal reasons. But during COVID, I ended up transferring some of my credits into another school, and I completed a general MBA program. I thought that would be a game changer for me, as I wanted to try to do something differently. But I started applying for lots of different roles, not realizing that many of the things that I was applying for were very competitive. And it took 2 years for me to realize that, um, after many interviews and disappointing experiences, that I needed to shift gears. And that's how I came upon your program. I've
Wow.
stumbled
Okay.
upon.
Okay. Wait. But before we get there, so were you going for only medical sales positions, or were you just going for everything? What were you actually interviewing for? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Right after I completed my MBA, I did not go about things in a traditional manner. I have no regrets, but I wouldn't recommend anyone going about it that way. I think it's always better to have your ideal job in mind before you start completing your studies. But um, I I just I just felt that I had no idea what I was doing. Like
Mm,
I'm just started looking at companies. Oh, Stryker's a great company. Philips is a great company. I have
sure.
all this experience. I should be a
Mm-hmm,
shoe-in here.
mm-hmm,
Just applying randomly. But then I started to notice for all these companies, sometimes on LinkedIn, you would see there were hundreds of applicants,
mm-hmm,
hundreds upon hundreds of applicants. And I did not understand what I understand now, in that for my resume, while it was good, it wasn't specific enough for um, the jobs I was going for.
mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, you have to reconstruct things based on the role you're applying for,
Right.
because the computer programs won't even pick you up if you don't have
Right.
certain words that match your job.
Right.
And so it took a long time for me to realize that I needed some more training to really help me get a specific type of job.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Okay. So you were going for medical sales roles, 2 years. It's not working out. What happened? Did you get on LinkedIn and see a post? Did you listen to go on
Um,
Google search? How did you find us?
to be quite honest, and I'm not sure if I answered your question. I do ramble sometimes. Um, I was applying for customer success roles and looking a lot into like technology roles, because in the beginning I did not see myself as a medical salesperson,
Sure. Sure.
and other people did not. It was a process of me realizing that I was already a very highly skilled salesperson as a physical therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I was providing a high, a, I was providing a service that seeks reimbursement. And if you don't document and meet the goals, you're not going to get paid.
Right.
So, um, it took me a long time to realize that. And the hardest person to convince was myself.
Right.
And in the end, if I walked out of an interview, because I had several, I remember one disappointing experience where they said, because at the point that I realized I need to get into sales, and the person said, well, we hired somebody with over 20 years of sales experience. And I think to myself now, I didn't convince that person
Mm-hmm.
that I am
Could go.
already
Yeah.
a highly skilled salesperson.
Yeah.
But honestly, I hadn't convinced myself enough yet.
Sure.
So
Sure.
that was the process.
Okay. So then, how'd you find us? Well,
Okay.
give us
So,
the moment if you can remember. What exactly was it?
okay, it was on LinkedIn. The non-clinical PT posted something about Evolve and
Okay.
sales. I made a decision that I was going to stop applying for customer success roles and other things, and I was going to focus on sales, medical device sales specifically. Um, and so I had an interview with like a recruiter for your program,
Mm-hmm.
and a really nice interview, and I felt it was a perfect fit for me.
Got it. Got it.
And that's
Okay.
where we started.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So, a couple things. We're gonna jump now back to your current job. You've gone through the program, and we'll get into your experience in the program. But I wanna go back to your current job. Give us some of the things right now that, as you got closer to knowing you wanted to do what you're doing today, durable medical equipment, medical sales rep. What are some of the biggest surprises that you are experiencing now in the job, if any?
Um, Biggest surprises. I mean, I'm not, I mean, I am so happy. I'm so happy. I really like, I knew I was going to be happy, but
Right.
I'm just loving my job.
Yeah. Like,
So
yeah.
I really love it. And, and it's just, I, I, I'm good at it. Like, it's just like, I'm great at forming relationships. And,
Right.
um, so to say I'm surprised, it isn't, I'm just beyond surprised. Like I mean, I was really nervous to
Yeah.
start at,
Yeah.
it was something new, um, but it just works. It just fits.
Man,
It's just
that's
like,
beautiful.
yeah, so that's it. It's
That's
just such a
beautiful.
great fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So take us into the program. When you first got into the program, what were your thoughts? What was going on?
When I first got into the program, I was like, okay, let's go. And I started running through the modules, and there were some open office hours and things like that. And then boom, my daughter broke her leg. And it was just a rough time. She fractured her tibia.
Hmm.
It was just, I had to take some time off from work. I mean, every time she rolled over in the bed, I had to help her move her leg. It was like,
Sure.
going to the doctors and physical therapy. And, even though I'm a PT, she still had to have her own.
Right. Right.
So, um, yeah, so that was rough. And that was hard for me to stay on track. Life is what happens when you're busy making plans, right?
Right. Right. Couldn't said it
So,
better.
yep. And then I think toward the end of the year, because I think I logged on in the fall, we were getting close to the holidays.
Sure.
You called me and you were like, "Okay, we're going to hit the ground running in the new year," and then we did. So then I started attending classes. We had a weekly class. I also did the modules on my own when I could, but it was when the classes were offered, it was very helpful to me to get in that class, and I had the support of my classmates, and I was lucky enough to have you there at times. And I remember you saying, if you do this program, 25%, what we found is that, you're not going to get the results you want. You do it 50%, you're not going to get the results you want. But if you really commit and you do this program the way that it's designed, you're going to get results. And that really sank in for me. And that's when I really got cooking. And it's a numbers game. I was started, networking very specifically, learning about different companies, getting to know the different um, teams from different companies that I was
Yeah.
interested
Yeah.
in being on, and met so many amazing people that inspired me, that were very supportive of what I was trying to achieve in my career. And finally, on Easter Sunday, I reached out to my director of the East Coast here, and I was hired by that Thursday.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just was amazing.
I love that. In our program, one of the biggest things that we think is the most important is finding the right kind of field. One thing that people don't talk about is how people get into a medical sales position, and because it's not really for them, or they don't really like that kind of medical sales work, they quit 5, 6 months down the line, and everybody's left with their hat in their hand. So in our program, we want to spend a lot of time showing you all these different types of positions, all these different types of medical sales careers, identifying what makes sense for you, and then of course, like you said, hit the ground running. And we do that with the coaches, the mentors, and our trainers all together, and like you said, in our classes. So if you could nail maybe 3 things that you remember that just you experienced in our program that were invaluable, what would you say they were?
3 things that were invaluable. Okay. The learning to network, but to be very specific how to network. Okay. Revising my resume so that it was targeting the roles that I was looking for very specifically. And the in-person, the office hours and everything that we did and the classes that were live,
Right.
that I was able to participate either one-on-one or in a group. And sometimes and it's more than 3, but there were the mock interviews. The mock interviews were huge. So I give you many things more than 3. But yeah, the mock interviews were very important.
Yeah.
So.
When you talk about the networking, it's funny because everybody, I don't think it's a secret now that to get in the medical sales industry, really to get any job, but especially medical sales, you better know how to network. Everybody talks about it. Network. But no one really talks about what that means and how it should go and what do you say. Talk to us a little bit about what that experience was for you from whatever you thought networking was, and then what you kind of discovered in the program regarding networking.
Okay. So I have a perfect example. So Sheila before Evolve would send a message to someone, and I think I remember sending a message to someone in Stryker looking for a job, sent my resume, blah, blah, blah. There was one time that I got a call from a recruiter from something like that.
Sure.
But usually nothing. Well, 99% of the time you got nothing from that. What I learned was that people like to talk about themselves. So keep it short and sweet, send a request, and say, and be genuine. That's important. Hey, I see that, I think I sent to my new director, I think I said, oh, I see you majored in such and such, and now you have a successful career in sales. How do you like working for blank company? I just applied for a role that was posted over a month ago. Just kind of threw it out there. But thinking that it wasn't even open anymore, but just we open to a quick chat. It was more concise than that, but yeah. And then it did help me. He did say during our interview later that week, he said, that message is what,
I remember you called me. You were like, Samuel, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true. As you learned, getting these positions, it really is, there's a specific way to do it that's going to be absolutely effective and get someone in the line that's going to want to help you. And that's what we spend a lot of time trying to train you how to do so you can be effective. And clearly, when you put it into action, it worked. Okay. So I want to talk about, earlier in our talk right now, you said that you were 55. And I think that's important to address because there's a lot of misconceptions about the barriers to get into medical sales. There's misconceptions about I have to have a sales background. There's misconceptions about I have to have a medical background. There's misconceptions that I have to be under, 25 or 30 and I have to look like this. There's all these misconceptions. And the nature of our success is we break all those misconceptions. We take them for whatever they might be, and we face them, and a lot of times we knock them down, right? They don't get in our way, and that's what happened with you. But talk to us though. What were you hearing when you would be in interviews, or was it ever brought up, or what kind of things were you experiencing that made you start to think, I'm 55, this is going to be tough for me? I hope you're enjoying today's episode. And I want to let you know our programs cover the entire career of a medical sales professional. From getting into the medical sales industry, to training on how to be a top performer in the medical sales industry, to masterfully navigating your career to executive level leadership. These programs are personalized and customized for your specific career and background, and trained by over 50 experts, including surgeons. Our results speak for ourselves, and we're landing positions for our candidates in less than 120 days in top medical technology companies like Stryker, Medtronic, Merck, Abbott, you name it. Would you run an Ironman race without training and a strategy? You wouldn't. So why are you trying to do the same with a medical sales position? You need training, you need a strategy, and you need to visit evolveyoursuccess.com, fill out the application, schedule some time with one of our account executives, and let's get you into the position that you've always dreamed of.
It was a long road. Like I said, I completed my MBA in 2022, I guess. So, and I had several interviews, sometimes third interviews, and got passed over. And it is really hard to stay positive and stay hopeful. And there was seeing people that in the roles that I wanted that look like Barbie. They were brilliant. They look like Barbie and Ken too. And so there was like, oh, there were times where, you're just too old for this. You're just too old. All those negative voices that I had to just fight out. You're too old. You should have went into sales earlier. All kinds of negative things. Age was a big one. But when I got focused, once I decided to join the program and after we had our discussion at the beginning of 2024, me and you, no matter what happened, I just knew I'm going to get a job. This is a numbers game. Some of the skills that we were doing with the networking and the follow-up and the everything are the skills that I need now that I've honed and refined through doing the program. That I was committing, it was a numbers game. I was reaching out to 10 people a day, as much as humanly possible, sometimes more if I couldn't only do 5 on a certain day. It was time consuming. It was a job. But I knew, and some of the people I spoke with, many of them were like, listen, you're doing exactly what you should be doing. This is how you're going to get something. Stay focused. Keep doing what you're doing. There are no opportunities in our group right now, but I'm telling you, keep doing what you're doing and it's going to happen. And many of those conversations kept my head above the water because it was hard staying positive.
Yeah.
It was difficult.
Yeah.
But I just got to a point where, I needed the program to get me real focused and to stay positive. And it worked.
I think, go ahead. No, say what were you going to say?
No, I changed my life. I did.
Amen. I love it.
And that's just what I wanted. It just took me, it was a journey.
Yeah. I think people undermine how important it is to have support and consistent reinforcement that this can happen for you and like have your back and of course the resources and the training and how to do this and what positions and all that. But I also think that just having a community that is there doing it with you every step of the way and picking you up whenever you feel down is critical, because a lot of people go for these positions on their own. They experience what you experienced, and of course, because they're not in a program, no one is telling them to get back up. No one is encouraging them. No one's reinforcing why they can get what they want, and they just kind of tap out. When you think about that, and you think about someone, let's talk about somebody listening to this right now that's by themselves and they've been trying, it's just not working out. Listen to this episode. What would you tell that person in regards to what I just said about the value of the support?
There are a lot of people doing exactly or trying to do exactly what you want to do. And you're fully capable of achieving the same thing that I have and changing your life. If you're willing to put in some work, that's great. But there might be times, you might get lucky, but oftentimes it's a little bit of a process. And for me, it was very helpful having other peers that were trying to also transition. And we had the guidance of the people in Evolve, in my case, um, and many people I networked with to support me. And I don't know how I would have gotten through. Um, I needed that to keep me afloat because it was constant battle of those negative thoughts. Like maybe I should stop. Maybe I should just stop because here we are over 2 years. Um, but if I started with this 2 years ago,
Hey, never late than ever. So it's all good. You're here now and you're in the position. Um, People ask about the money, believe it or not. And we try to explain to everyone that it depends on where you are financially before you start and what you want to do and what you want to choose when you get into a field. Without giving us too many details, Sheila, what would you say? How has your lifestyle improved since going from physical therapy for 25 plus years to medical sales now?
well, I'm only just getting started and the pay structure is different in sales because you have a base salary. Um, but what's really nice is that um, if I'm performing at a certain level, which is not unachievable, my base salary can increase. And there's also unlimited commission.
Hmm.
So um, it's just the sky's the limit. Only just starting out, but I'm so far. So there was a little delay, like when you start getting your commission from when you very first start, because it takes a while, but
Right,
it has.
right.
So I'm only just starting to get the commission, but it's a little bit of an improvement from what I was doing before
Yeah,
financially.
yeah.
And my benefits are wonderful. I don't really have specific paid time off, but I was able to take some time off when both of my kids graduated. I actually went to Florida I took a few days off on a little vacation.
Uh-huh.
As long as my numbers are good,
Hmm.
I have support of my team to make sure I'm getting some R&R. And so it's a good work-life balance. I'm taking my son to college this month, and they know I have to take off for a couple days. And yeah, so it's great.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Um, Again, people are listening right now and they're thinking the same things you thought before you joined. What would you tell for someone that's listening to this and thinking, should I do this? Should I invest in this? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the money? Can I commit? What would you tell this person?
For me, it was an investment, yes, but it was also a tremendous learning experience. I built my network of supportive people tremendously. Here we are on this podcast, which I'm very excited and grateful to be doing. Um, so I have no regrets. It's one of the greatest groups that I've connected with. I'm so happy and thrilled to have the connections from the group and that I've learned what I've learned and hear myself counseling other people that I know that are in different roles, all kinds of different things that are eager to make a change of any kind. And I hear myself saying some of the things, well, it might take a little bit of work. I mean, it seems like you're um, in a competitive field, whatever it may be, but why don't you start reaching out to people and I find myself sharing a lot. So I hope I answered your question.
No, you did. You did absolutely. Um, Sales. What I love about the program is sales is something that most people do that they don't think they can do. And one thing we always try to focus on is it's less about you have to have a sales background, and it's more about you need to showcase that you can sell yourself, and you need to showcase that you can handle rejection. And no matter how rough things are getting, you're going to get up and get after it every single day. Um, would you say that's kind of what you're seeing now? That because of your grit within the program, it's allowed you to be that much better in your current position?
Definitely. I mean, I make a lot of calls, I do cold call, and I don't give up just from one stop. I'll go back. Um, but yeah, I just I've had really good luck. So I'm definitely likable. Um, I care. I think I'm genuine. I have a kind of a personal mission I think that's important as you set out in your everyday. And when you study big companies that have mission, that's important to stick to your mission. And so, I've like, just for an example, I'm a physical therapist and I've gone out to lots of therapy places, and some of them receive things well, and some of them have a lot more questions. It's not a good example. But
Yeah, well,
I almost need to teach sometimes. I feel like, like during some of our products, I feel like I need to bring in some of my education skills too. And so I may go back and I'm like, well, gee, I didn't make an impact during this in-service as much as I had wanted to. And it could happen in any practice. I didn't hear from them after that. But what could I have done better, or what can I do more? Well, what value can I add? Well, I'm an educator, so I can hone in on certain things and teach them a little bit more about this. And so I'll just have to change my strategy a little bit to get a different result. So I try not to get disappointed. I just try to look at things that, like, gee, I'm a PT and I think this is awesome. How come not all PTs see it this way? Well, what could I do different? And then
mhm,
I just keep at it.
I love it. And
Yeah.
one thing that we stress in the program is your personal story and how important it is to craft one that really lands. What was that like for you in the program?
Oh, okay. Well, I made a portfolio and I showcased outlined my I did the win the view, and I did send that along after my interviews to or I you could even send it ahead of time as
Right,
sort of a guide.
right.
But I do think that taking time to outline personal accomplishments, um, even using like the skills from that specific job, like
Mhm,
acting as if you already have the job,
mhm.
into the portfolio, can really set you apart from other candidates because you've really taken the time to um, research the role and integrate yourself into it and showcase that in your portfolio. So I think having a personal story, sharing it on a Win the View platform or something similar, really shows and sets you apart
Yeah,
from
yeah,
other candidates.
absolutely. Um, I want to go back to the age, right? To those that are 50 plus, what would you tell them?
I I feel like I talk to so many people because they ask me like what I'm up to, and then I get all like, "Oh, wow, that's amazing. You
Mhm.
changed your life." And it just happens so much now. Like I wish I could do that. I wish I could do something like that, but I'm too old. I'm like, but I'm too this or I'm too that. Um, I just don't see it that way. I have a lot of energy. Um, it really is, age is not, it's just an excuse. It's just an excuse not to do it. So don't let that happen because 50 is young. 50 is young. And if you're not happy in your career, you don't have to stay where you are. You don't have to stay. Go for make a long-term plan, make a change, start taking some steps toward a different future. Like I'm so happy. I mean, I loved my career as a physical therapist for so many years. I loved it. And I still love the field of physical therapy. And I'm so happy I get to work with physical therapists all the time. But I desperately needed a change. And age at times I thought was a block, and I would get down. But no, you just have to make your goal, and don't ever think you're too old. As long as you're motivated and you're doing the work, you're going to get results. And in
Couldn't be
medical
said
device
better.
sales, if you're likable and you're committed and you're gonna get it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, one last thing I want to go over. We do meet a lot of people that have been trying to get this position. Some people as long as 3 years, like you were saying, 2 years, some people 1 year. And we know that going through this program speeds it up. Again, what would you say to that?
I think I said it earlier, but I wish I hooked up with you back as soon as I finished my MBA program. But as far as sharing my story and the struggles, if it can help anyone, um, I'm glad it happened then the way it did, because I know, um, I learned so much. But the program, I really needed it because I had to refine the way that I think, the way that I talk, so that I could really capture the skills that I already have and be able to verbalize them very well, about how I'm already a salesperson, about how I've been a salesperson for 32 years. But I just didn't know how to say it because I had a clinical head. There might be a different kind of head going out there, you know, maybe somebody that majored in, I don't know, zoology or biology or
Sure.
criminal justice. I mean, we see all kinds of things in the backgrounds of
Yeah.
people in medical device sales.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
smart, you're likable, and you
Yeah.
really want to do it, you can do it.
Amen to that. Yeah, amen to that. Because you were a clinician, a physical therapist, a lot of your experience in the program was focused on the softer skills, the sales skills, like we discussed, your personal story, how to network effectively, and how to be consistent. And of course, just what everybody goes through, having that motivation and community to always lean on as you chase the goal and finally achieve it. Other things that we have in our program, like how we introduce you to all the different medical careers, some of the sales training, some of the sales workshops where experts from different fields come and talk about it. You know, did you spend much time with those types of experiences?
I spent some time. I think it's important to take advantage of the podcasts. There were a list of books that I read that you recommended. Um, I'm blanking right now on, I won't say I'm having a senior moment, but because I think my brain's on overload.
You've been in the job for a little while now. This was the past, but I understand. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that the resources of listening to people podcasts, my company offers some inside of hours that I've been listening to, that are just more specific to what I'm doing right now. But I remember I would be listening to books on tape when I was driving. Um, I'm trying to just remember one. There was one about the story.
Big one, the big one. Remember the big
Yep.
one.
The one about the story. The it was almost like, oh God, I can't remember.
Maybe you shouldn't remember it because
Okay.
for anybody listening right now that's considering joining the program, let's not spoil it for them. They're gonna
Okay.
find out. There's a whole
That's
series
true.
of books they're gonna have to read anyway. So,
That's true.
but this is great, Sheila. One thing that I can't stress enough is the beauty about getting into medical sales and really anything, but especially medical sales is it's not some nebulous thing you get lucky. It's a process. There's a way to do it now. And in our program, there's a literally a track to follow. And as long as you follow it and complete it, there's, and like you said, 99.9% chance of getting what you want, even if you're 50 plus. So Sheila, we just love that you came out and talked with us today and gave your experience. Is there anything else you would love to tell the audience?
Um, yes, I think that there are more salespeople out there than like that people don't like you were talking about sales. We even as children, we start somebody I was having a discussion with somebody about this the other day. Think about when you're a child, you're like, Mom, if I clean my room, you think you can get me that new Xbox game
Right.
or that new thing? Or what if I do this? How about we can, we're starting out as salespeople, very, very young, and we all have capability to do that. I mean, to get into sales. There's so many people that that are cut out for sales that don't realize it. So I'm so grateful that I honed in on sales. I didn't see it at first more than 2 years ago, but it took me a while, and I
Yeah,
was the hardest person to convince. But believe me, you can change your life if you really want to. It can be a lot of work, but you won't be sorry.
love it. I love it. Sheila, where can people find you?
Where can people find me? Um, let's see. I'm hiding out here now. I'm on LinkedIn, so that's the best place to find me right now. So,
Excellent. Excellent. We have one more thing to do before I let you go. Are you ready?
yes, sir.
All right. This is called the lightning round. I'm asking you 4 questions. You have less than 10 seconds to answer.
Oh
Let
God.
us begin.
Okay.
All
Right.
right. What is the best book you've read in the last 6 months?
Ugh. Uh, I don't remember reading a book. Is something about my company. All I can think about is all the like drinking out of a fire hose. Something with
You
my
know
company.
what? That's fair. That's totally fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Best TV show or movie you've seen in the last 6 months?
Oh, the feud about Betty Crawford and Joan. No, Betty Davis and Joan Crawford.
What is it?
It's the feud. There's one about the swan with
It's called The Feud.
it's on Hulu and it's the feud, but it's not the one about the swans. It's the one about Susan Sarandon plays Betty Davis and what's her name plays Joan Crawford. They had a famous feud.
Oh, wow.
It's
Never
great.
even heard of it. Is it like real documentary or is it a
Well,
movie?
if you ever watched the Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, they were two divas that hated each other,
Oh,
that were
wow.
got older in their career, and they didn't they realized
No,
that
no, 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 don't spoil it. Don't spoil
yeah,
it. Hold on. Okay, okay.
they
But it's
definitely
called
watch it.
on Hulu. It's called The Feud.
Right, but there are different feuds that are
Right. Different
within
episodes, and you
yeah.
like the one with Joan. Okay, okay, noted. All right. What is the best meal? We want the restaurant, the item, and the location. The best meal you've had in the last 6 months.
The best meal I've had in the last 6 months was it was somewhat local. It was at Cosimo's in I want to say Central Valley where I had clams with linguine and I had broccoli rabe on the side and I put it in all together
Ooh,
and mixed it up
ooh,
and
ooh.
it was good.
Okay, so this is Cosmos where? What's the city
Yep,
in
I
state?
mean in Central Valley in New York.
Okay, you said Plenview, Central Valley?
Central Valley, New York.
Central Valley, New York, and it's called Cosmos,
Yep.
and it's the clams.
The linguine with the white clam, like
Oh,
the olive
wow.
oil, and then
Okay.
I mix the broccoli rabe.
Okay, that's happening. All right, and then last question, but not least, what is the best experience you've had in the last 6 months?
The best experience I've had in the last 6 months was accepting the job that I am currently working at. Even more so than that was when I walked out with like 6 or 7 orders from one new client
Wow.
because it was like, wow, this is amazing. And even better than that is hearing from my coworkers and my manager, you're killing it.
Awesome.
So, and you're new. I'm nervous, and I'm like about, that I'm just beginner's luck, but I'm committed to my mission and to the company mission. And I think that is going to just keep things moving along, keep building momentum
I love it. I
in
love
my
it.
territory.
I love it.
Yeah, I love everybody I'm meeting. Just opportunities are opening up. The relationships that I've just formed are blossoming as they get to know me. They are, asking me to do more to help with their patients, and I'm just I'm loving it.
It's amazing, Sheila. Sheila,
Yeah.
thank you so much for the time with us on the Medical Sales Podcast. We can't wait to see all the amazing things you're going to continue to go out there and do in the medical sales world. And thank you again.
Thank you.
And that was Sheila Mallon. Kind of surprising, right? Let's speak honestly. Ageism. Is ageism a real thing? I absolutely think it is. Ageism is a very real thing. But so is not having sales experience, so is not having medical experience, so is not having been in this position, even though you're trying to get a position in medical sales. It's all real. At the end of the day, you got to ask yourself this. Do you really want this? Do you have a good reason to go after this? And are you willing to do what it takes to get there? Here at Evolve Success, that is what we are here for. We know how to do it. Whether you're someone that has a barrier like ageism, or a barrier like no medical sales, no medicine, or a barrier like no sales, or any other barrier for that matter, outside of not having a degree and having a clean record and ready to go out there and change patients' lives, then what are you waiting for? I have these episodes with people like this to inspire you to take action and to teach you what life can look like. And of course, educate all of you at the same time in case this is something you want to be doing. As always, we do our best to bring you guests who are doing things differently in the medical sales space. So make sure you tune in next week for another episode of the Medical Sales Podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And remember, I have a customized and personalized program that gets you into the medical technology industry as a sales professional, or any type of role for that matter. Become a top performer in your position and masterfully navigate your career to executive level leadership. Check out these programs and learn more at evolvesuccess.com by visiting our site, filling out an application, schedule some time with one of our account executives, and allowing us to get you where you need to be. Stay tuned for more awesome content with amazing interviews on the Medical Sales Podcast.